The everlasting covenant of God to King David is fulfilled and continued in the Baha'i Faith. In Psalms 89 is recorded God's strong covenant with King David, that his throne and his lineage will endure forever, and that there will always be a man seated upon the throne of King David. In Ezekiel chapter 37 is recorded the prophecy concerning the great day of resurrection, when those who slumber shall awaken, and those who are spiritually dead will raise to new life, coming out of the tombs of the corrupt clergy. This great day of resurrection will be recognized by the one shepherd, the descendant of King David seated upon the throne, known as the Prince of Peace and the everlasting Father of Isaiah chapter 9, who brings a government, the kingdom of God on earth, and who rules upon the throne of King David. This is none other than Baha'u'llah. From the time of King David down through to King Jehoiakim, the throne of David remained in Jerusalem. But when the Jews were taken into captivity, the Davidic kingship went into exile into Babylon. The exilarchs, exiled Davidic monarchs, remained in Babylon until 817 AD, after which time the throne of David went up into Persia, into the area of Tehran, where it remained until 1817, at the birth of Baha'u'llah, the return of Christ, the Prince of Peace, ruling upon the throne of King David. The meaning of the word Christ or Messiah being the anointed male lineal descendant of King David. Baha'u'llah brought God's plan for the kingdom of God on earth, revealing the house of the Lord, the universal house of justice, which is recognized by the fact that the living descendant of King David is seated as the executive branch and the president, in order to distinguish it from all fakes, frauds, and imitations. As we learn from Ezekiel, that through the recognition of the everlasting covenant to King David, the people shall enter into the covenant of peace which God has promised them. When they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks, nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war any more. The zeal of the Lord of hosts shall perform this. Baha'u'llah passed the throne of King David on to his son, Abdu'l-Bahai, who in turn passed the throne of David to his son, Ibn Abbas, the first one to be seated as the executive branch and president of the Universal House of Justice of Baha'u'llah. Ibn Abbas passed this throne on to his son, Yusuf Aghsan, the second executive president of the Universal House of Justice, who in turn passed the throne onto the great-grandson of Abdu'l-Bahai, Ben Joseph Aghsan, the current living descendant of King David and president of the Universal House of Justice. When Baha'u'llah was banished and exiled from his homeland for proclaiming the coming of the kingdom of God, the throne of David returned to the area of Baghdad, and finally returning to Israel. At the time of Abdu'l-Bahai's Aghsan's son, the throne of King David moved to America, where today the true Universal House of Justice is located in the New Jerusalem of the Rocky Mountains. The purpose of the everlasting covenant to King David is so that we can recognize the true Universal House of Justice of Baha'u'llah, and so that we can enter into the kingdom of God on earth. This is the day that the kingdom is established. Let the faithful rejoice.